Good evening, everyone. I will call the City Council to order at 8 p.m. on Monday, December 16th. This meeting is being recorded. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could ask you to remain standing, join me in a moment of silence. Two of our former City Council members recently passed away. Robert Bobby Brennan, who was the Ward 2 Councilor from 1984 to 1985. He also served 18 years on the school committee. And then Marilyn Perry, who served as Councilor at Large from 1984 to 1991. So I'd ask if we could just have a moment of silence for both these councilors. Thank you. Thank you very much. You may be seated. There are, 17 items on this evening's agenda, and I will ask the clerk to please read agenda item number 1.
Minutes of the City Council meeting, December 2nd, 2024.
Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to accept and place on file the minutes.
Motion made and seconded to accept and place on file the minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? The minutes are filed 10-0. Agenda item number 2.
Now is the time for the public hearing on the proposed zoning map amendment from Justin Millette, trustee, on behalf of 1 Maple Terrace to include 1 Maple Terrace, identified as map 70, parcel 274, in the Malborough Village District, order number 24-100-9305.
Okay, so there will be no public hearing tonight, as we had a challenge with the advertisement. So I would entertain a motion to reschedule the public hearing for this topic. Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to reschedule the public hearing to January 6, 2025.
Motion made and seconded to reschedule the public hearing to January 6, 2025 and advertise. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none of those in favor? Opposed? The public hearing is rescheduled to January 6, 2025 at 8 p.m. and we will advertise. Votes 10-0. Agenda item number 3.
Now is the time for the public hearing on the application for amendment to special permit from Attorney Brian Falk on behalf of Garden Remedies, Inc. to allow for the relocation of the establishment from 416 Boston Post Road East to 423 Lakeside Avenue, order number 24-100-9306A.
Okay, this public hearing we've taken up in 4 stages. First, with the public speaking in favor. Second, questions from the public. Third, public speaking in opposition. And then finally, questions from the City Council. So I will be setting a time limit of 3 minutes per speaker this evening due to the size of the crowd here. So again, 3 minutes per speaker. So we'll start with the public speaking in favor. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, President Ossing. Brian Falk from Myrick O'Connell, here on behalf of the applicant, Garden Remedies, Inc. With me are our Chief Executive Officer, Jeff Harold, and our Chief Operating Officer, Zach Hall. Seeking an amendment to our special permit to relocate the marijuana retail establishment from 416 Boston Post Road East to 423 Lakeside Avenue, which is Route 20 West. Garden Remedies is excited about this opportunity to relocate in Marlborough and continue serving its existing customers and patients. Just working through this, so this is Garden Remedies' current location at 416 Boston Post Road East. This is the Marlborough Square Plaza. Garden Remedies was Marlborough's first retail cannabis establishment, opened in June of 2019 for adult use and September 2019 for medical. Garden Remedies was also the first woman and clinician-founded cannabis company in Massachusetts. So moving forward, so we've had a minimal impact on the community. I mean, honestly, we would say we've had no impact or probably a positive impact overall from our operation. Current operations have not contributed to significant traffic. We wish that we had, which is part of the reason that we're looking to relocate. We've been a professional retailer without complaints from neighboring businesses, customers, or the police. We have a policy to ensure that the surrounding area is free from trash. We run a clean operation both inside and outside the store. And we have a zero tolerance policy for consumption on site or near the store. Been a good corporate citizen, community support, working with local nonprofits such as the Community Cupboard, sponsored local events such as the Farmers Market, and our employees give back with community cleanups. We care about the community. So why are we looking to relocate? Overall, this is a business decision. Store revenues have been in a sharp decline since 2020, down 48% from 2020 to 2023. This year's projected revenues look like they'll be down about a third from 2023 numbers. Store traffic is down. We do think a lot of it is attributable to the Route 20 East construction project. That has certainly not helped. But the location itself, we think, is less than ideal for our retail operation. So we're looking to relocate in Marlborough instead of leaving Marlborough. But Garden Remedies is at a point where it is looking to open a different store. It's maxed out at 3 retail locations in the state, and this location is not working. But we would like to stay in Marlborough for a variety of reasons. I'd like to keep serving our local customers and patients. Would like to retain our local employees. Would like to add a medical location to the west side of the city. Right now, there are 2 medical providers in Marlborough, Garden Remedies being one of them, both located on the east side of the city. This would provide an option for medical cannabis establishment on the west side of the city. And important in this building is an increase in city revenues. As Garden Remedies revenues would go up, so would the city's share, the 3% excise tax on cannabis transactions. We feel as though a new location will work out very well for the city as well as Garden Remedies. So our proposed location, this is 423 Lakeside Avenue, Route 20 West, just west of the 495 interchange. Most recent tenant was the Vitamin Shop. This is actually a location that we looked at when we were initially coming to Marlborough in 2018. We had hoped that this would be our location. Didn't work out then, but looks like it will work out now. This slide shows the store converted to Garden Remedies signage and window wraps, and our sign on the pylon that's existing at that location. So some of the features of the new location, we have direct access off of Route 20, also have access on Landry Drive to the rear of the store. Like our existing location, we have a secure waiting area for patients and customers. You have to show your ID to get in. We would have a dedicated employee and delivery entrance, so the entrance that customers and patients would be using would be different than the entrance for employees bringing in inventory. Would have opaque exterior windows. That's something required by Cannabis Control Commission regulations. In terms of parking, this is a shared lot with the oral surgeon next door. 53 total shared spaces, 23 would be directly next to our building. We think that works out favorably with what we think is going to be our projected activity. Average of 18 transactions per hour, maximum of 23. Average transaction time about 3 minutes. So we think we've got plenty of parking in that location as it currently stands. Just on our procedural status, we had a community outreach meeting on December 2nd. We were before the site plan committee informally last week. We'll be before them formally if we get this special permit because cannabis establishments, even without site changes, require formal site plan approval under the zoning ordinance. I provided councilors with a draft decision. Again, we're amending our existing special permits. It's a little bit different than some of the other special permits you may have done. You have that draft decision with your materials. And I also submitted tonight a number of letters from current customers and patients. The city clerk has those, and they'll get entered on the record as part of the hearing. In summary, we think this is an ideal move for Garden Remedies. This is an excellent retail location and one that we think will allow us to continue to thrive in Marlborough and continue to serve our existing customers and patients. We thank you for your time and look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Attorney Falk. Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Please come on up to the microphones. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Michelle Mercier, 22 Carter Street, Hudson, Mass. CEO and President of the Marlborough Regional Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, no, you'll go right ahead, Michelle, thanks.
Hi. I just wanted to come up, and I think you've heard a lot of great arguments here that they've seen and that they've stated for the future of the new location. They've been dedicated members of the chamber for five years and 6 months, to be exact, renewing in June. They've had, to my knowledge, no incidents with the public or anything being called on them, anything like that, as well as I think it would be a loss to Marlborough if they were having to leave this community. So I am in favor of them staying put right here in Marlborough and continuing to give back to the community the way that they've been doing up to this point. And I think the new location is in the best favor of the business as well. So, yeah.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public speak in favor?
Hi, JP Gallagher, one of the owners of Lost Shoe Brewing and Roasting Company, right next door. I just want to echo Michelle's statements, but also say that as you saw, they support the Malborough Farmers Market, which we put on. They help us with our Snap Match program, and they've also been sponsors of our Marlborough Brewers Oktoberfest. So we'd love to see them continue to stay in Marlborough and to continue to support our community events.
Thanks, JP. Thank you. Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Hearing none, I close that portion of the public hearing. Questions from the public? Any questions from the public?
Thank you. My name's Laura Butlin, and I live at 44 Ferrecchia Drive. I have a question. So your location that you're at on the east side, what's the size of that location versus the size you want to move to?
Yeah, this quick.
3,000 square feet now, 5,000 is the new.
So current location is 3,000 square feet. The new location will be about 5,000 square feet.
Do you think that that's going to be big enough to warrant what you're going to move to?
Yeah, we believe so.
I mean, that's not a significant move.
Yeah, we know the size.
Yeah, it's not so much the size of the building, it's the location, the retail location, visibility, and closer to the highway.
Now, do you think that you would have a problem with competition? You're going to have two down on the west side.
Yeah, I mean, it's a competitive marketplace for sure, but it's really no different. Along that same stretch of roadway, you have three retail liquor license establishments that are all competing with each other and all doing well and in business. So we don't see that as really any different.
We'll also be the only medical provider.
That's right. As Zach reminded me, we'd also be the only medical provider on the west side of town.
Now, what about a traffic study? Because I feel as though I live in that area of town. The traffic is horrific, especially at, your high traffic times, Landry Drive, trying to get in and out. I know you have a front entrance and a back entrance. And I have personally had a situation where someone is coming out of the Shell gas station and decided to go eastbound in the oncoming traffic lane. Now, don't take this the wrong way, but people that do consume marijuana aren't thinking clearly, because I've witnessed it. What precautions are going to be in place for something like that, for an incident that they could be coming out and going in the wrong direction because they're intoxicated?
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on that. There's no on-site consumption in the store or on the premises. In terms of traffic impact, the very early days of retail cannabis in Massachusetts for sure had traffic impacts when there were only 2 or 3 stores in the entire state. It's certainly a competitive, maturing market right now, and we don't find that the traffic impacts are any different for this kind of establishment than for any other retail establishment. It's an existing retail plaza since 2006, well-established traffic patterns, and we don't think after the initial week or two when we're a new store, we don't think there'll be any different traffic impact from our location than any other retail establishment.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Any other questions from the public?
Hi, I'm Jack Doolin, 31 Macquarie Drive. And while it's good to see a business being productive for the city and so on, just like probably a lot of local residents, I live in the neighborhood, could you describe a little further? You said there's been no incidents per se in your current establishment, current location, what do you do to either prevent that, or if you were to have some kind of a customer problem in your location, either inside the building or outside, how do you monitor that? What would you do about that type of thing? Because, like any business, we're just concerned about the customers that come in and they do their business. If they, for some reason, as Laura mentioned, there might be somebody who's acting inappropriately somehow as a result of using that business. What can you tell us as residents that would make us feel like this is not going to have any kind of an impact we have to worry about?
Yeah, I mean, I can take that. I mean, just like any business, if there's a customer issue and our staff feels threatened or uncomfortable, we'd notify the police, just like anyone else. That's a secure facility. You have to show your ID before you get into the facility. You have to walk through a security booth before you get in. All of our packaging is, child resistant and sealed for people when they leave. We've been doing it for a long time. We were the 8th licensed group in the state of Massachusetts to sell cannabis. We've been around since 2013. We have a lot of SOPs in place, security, a full security team, exterior cameras, all those things that we rely on.
Thank you. That was my question.
Thanks, Jack. Any other questions from the public? Any other questions from the public? Any other questions from the public? Hearing none, I close that portion of the public hearing. Public speaking in opposition. Any members of the public speak in opposition?
Councilor Rossi?
Oh, yes, hang on.
Yes, Councilor, we did receive one letter of opposition for the amendment to the application for a special permit from Garden Remedies from a Betty Chan Macy of 37 Fereckia Drive.
Thank you, Steve. Members of the public speaking in opposition. Any members of the public speaking in opposition? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Christina Holman. I live at 11 Massarelli Drive. So when I tell you that this is directly in my backyard, it is literally in my backyard. I can see it. I have 2 young children, and there's also the Richer Elementary School that is right down the road from there. And as it was previously mentioned, there's already a dispensary down the street. And my understanding, and I could be wrong, is that there's another one being built near Chipotle. I don't understand why we need 3 dispensaries in the space of a half mile, a mile, whatever that exact radius is. I'm concerned that you say it's not allowed to be used on property. So to me, that just encourages them, hey, let me get right outside the property and go park on the side street and use it. I don't understand why we need so many of them in one location. And you say that you are hoping that you're moving because of not enough traffic at your location and you're hoping for an increased traffic. So we don't need increased traffic in our neighborhood. As it is, we get an influx of people cutting through our neighborhood to get from the hotels to the hockey rink back and forth. We don't need even more traffic coming through our neighborhood for a business like this, a business that's going to be open until, 11 o'clock at night. Like I said, I have young children. As it is, I already have issues with the extended stay hotel and the clientele there late at night. And I've had to call the police because of that hotel, and the response time isn't the greatest. So I am really concerned about what the response time would be for a business like this if you do have an issue, because you're hoping for increased traffic, which we don't need in our neighborhood for the young kids that are there and for the amount of this type of business that is already in that location. So that's just what I have to say about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Any other members of the public speaking in opposition? Come on up, Laura.
Laura Butland. I play the devil's advocate. So I currently run a business in this town in which there's a pot shop. I cannot say a good thing about it. We've had a horrific experience. Horrific. The counselors here know how bad it is. I'm not saying your business is like theirs, but what has been displayed at them has put a bad taste in my mouth. Do I believe you guys would do great there? Absolutely. Do I believe you need a standalone building like that? 100%. Do I want you to leave the city? No. Everybody deserves a chance. But what I have witnessed firsthand, I can show you pictures, I can show you videos. It is a bad deal, and I live right there. like Christina and a couple of other neighbors here, we live right there. I have to deal with it when I go to work. I don't want to deal with it when I go home. And the traffic that we deal with there, it's awful. I mean, our neighborhood is a cut-through. I know what you're saying, you know, you have a big tolerance, you stop people from tailgating in the parking lot. They'll do it. They do it every single day in our plaza. My plaza stinks like a big skunk. It's awful. And my customers complain. I've lost business because of this business in my plaza. And I've run a business for 29 years here. I take pride in what I do. And I take pride in this city, born and raised here. I don't want to see this type of atmosphere in our neighborhood. I just don't think it's a good fit. Do I think it's a good fit somewhere else? Maybe in an industrial center, off the beaten path? Yes, I do. But not where residents go. People walk that area. I walk that area with my granddaughters. People at the Homestead, I call it Homestead Village. It's the Homestead Suites. That's a dump. It is just an attraction for bad trouble. And if they can walk over there and get their marijuana because they smoke it right there on the sidewalk, I mean, I've had to walk through a business to get away from those people smoking it, to come back around onto Route 20 to finish my walk. It smells, and it's just not good for my grandkids to be around. And they're little. They're 2 and 3 years old. I don't want that for them. I just don't. I just don't think it's a good fit. And I know that sounds terrible because I run a business here, and I wish no ill, but I just don't feel as though this is a good idea at all. Especially, we have another standalone going in down at Hannaford's, and the one that I have in my plaza will be top-heavy. I mean, why do we need 3 in one end of town? And I get you have medical versus recreational. I understand all of it. But if you've lived what I've lived the past 2 years, I've had people urinate in front of my building, behind it, on the side of it. I mean, I've been assaulted. I can't, all these people come from the marijuana facility. And they don't care that someone's policing the parking lot. They're in their car, rolling their thing up, stinking up the whole place. They just have total disregard. That and the trash. The trash, I mean, honestly, come down, see what we're dealing with down the other end of town before you make this decision. All of you sitting here. And I know Dave's been down in my plaza, Tiona's been, Trey's been. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. It's disappointing because we're at the end of the line. But I'm sorry, I'm totally against it unless there's a better idea. Like, I just don't have a good feel about it, and I apologize.
Thank you, Laura. Any other members of the public speaking in opposition? Any other members of the public speaking in opposition? Any other members of the public speaking in opposition?
Hi, my name is Susie Willett. I live on Northborough Road, and I want to thank the ladies for speaking and the gentleman. It's traffic. There's so much traffic on our road. It's a cut-through road from all over town to come through there, and that's just going to add, we feel like this would add more traffic. They're going to come up, they're going to cut off through Route 20, they're going to come up by Hannaford's and go in the back way to use your facility. They're going to come around and come down, and everybody keeps cutting through. I was promised when they put the Apex Center in that they had a 40 light turning for the Apex Center. Nobody will come down Northborough Road, but everybody does. Everybody comes down to beat the light and to get to Starbucks. I just think this is going to add more traffic. We have a lot of pedestrians walking up and down the street. I think it's just not going to be it's going to be a bad safety issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. Any other members of the public speaking in opposition? Any other members of the public speaking in opposition? Any other members of the public speaking in opposition? Hearing none, I close that portion of the public hearing. Questions from the city councilors? Councilor Nabin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of questions regarding the business. You have 2 other locations in the Commonwealth, is that accurate?
Yes, Newton and Melrose.
Okay, were they all open about the same time? Have they been open since 2020 or before?
Yeah, so those other 2 locations were open before Marlborough.
Okay, and has there been a decline in revenue at the other locations as well?
Yes.
There has been, okay. And is that attributable, you think, just to the amount of other stores that have opened across the Commonwealth as the industry has become more mature?
Yes.
Okay. Who is your closest medical marijuana licensed competitor? Is that in
The
Hudson?
Green Gold Group down the road.
It is. It's not Hudson. That's not
Correct.
to Mezcal right off 495.
Correct.
Up one exit. Okay. And then it says here the store traffic is down attributable to obviously the Route 20 construction project, which is decreasing. Do you think if this is not approved and then you do end up staying in that location, if that's a possibility after the construction project's open?
I mean, the construction project winding down is certainly helpful, but our location overall compared to this new location, this is a much better location where we're looking to move.
Okay. And then the other piece that I'm wondering about, and when this comes to committee, I'd like to see a little bit more about the increased city revenues. Obviously, if you guys sell more, that's going to obviously do more for the taxes that the city will retain, which is wonderful news. We all like to see that. I am a little bit concerned with having 3 locations within a mile from each other if there is really a net increase in that. So I'd look forward to having that discussion when we come to committee.
Thank you, Councilor Navin. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask a question where it says minimal impact on community, zero tolerance for consumption on site or near store. You had mentioned in the presentation that your company's been in business for a while, you have standard operating procedures. What would that look like for that exact type of a scenario? A customer leaves the store, there's signs posted and whatnot. Once they leave the store, they're up to their own devices. So what do you have in place to, I guess, one, recognize that somebody might be consuming, and then also what would you then do if it were founded? Thank you.
Yeah, so the person inside in the security booth monitors the cameras that are outside. And, depending on the situation, could go out and talk to that person, could call the police. Also, everyone scans their ID when they enter the facility. So if had that happen and say they drive away, we have that person's information to be able to provide to the police. We've also banned customers or if they, went against one of our policies. So the next time they show up, we can say, hey, you're not allowed back into this facility, and turn them away.
Thank you. And if I may just ask another question, and I'm not sure if this is easy to answer or quantify, but I have to recognize the concern of one of my constituents who owns the business on the west side in the plaza with another dispensary, and they've had some issues with clientele. If you had to generalize, and it really pains me to even say it this way, to generalize your clientele, because you do have the recreation and the medical, what would that look like in an average business day? Like, what's the makeup of your clientele?
It's all across the board. So you could have a medical patient that's 15 years old all the way to a customer that's 100 years old. It really varies. It's pretty much split male-female. It's all across the board. It's just like any store. I think it's very fun to go into our store and to stand behind the counter and see the differences of people, right? You have one, 21-year-old and then a 90-year-old in line right next to each other, there to purchase the same things, sometimes for the same reasons.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Orm.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your presentation. First and foremost, I'm not going to judge you on another business in town that needs to rectify their concerns, and I'm very concerned that it hasn't been rectified, and if it's not, I'm going to suggest the police department get active with it. Now, I remember when you first opened, there was a trial period, and during that trial period, if I'm not mistaken, the police department had oversight, so that is something I may be looking at as a suggestion when it goes through various meetings, is maybe do a trial period again. I haven't heard any complaints of your facility of what I just heard for another facility, which is very concerning. It's a disrespect for their neighbor, their business neighbor, and I have not heard that from you, so that's why I started my questions with, I'm not going to judge you based on another business. What I'd like to know is, Have you talked to the other tenants? I know Dr. Lin is over there. I've been in there, so I know he's there. That's not a fun process, but I've been there. Have you worked with them to ask what they're getting for traffic? I know what you're expecting for traffic, but have you talked to Dr. Lin, and is the physical therapy place still there too?
Yes.
To see what their traffic demand is during the same operation time that you may be there?
Sure. So Dr. Lin will be our landlord, so that is helpful. He's welcoming us there as his new tenant. We haven't heard any issues at all with the parking sufficiency, and he wouldn't have leased to us, knowing his business is next door, if that was going to be a concern.
And a question: what attracted you to that area? Because I know you see them off in Hudson, right off the highway. Is that one of the reasons, or maybe I should let you answer it? What attracted you to this location?
Sure. I mean, it's a huge draw. I mean, anybody who has to have a physical retail location, as this establishment does, it doesn't really get a whole lot better. Right off the highway, very easily visible from Route 20, easy in, easy out in terms of access. It's an ideal retail location, and we think we do very well there. As I mentioned, this was high, maybe top of our list when we were looking for places in Marlborough back in 2018. It didn't work out then, but we're hoping it will now.
And thinking of the highway, Cracker Barrel, you see their signs going up in the sky. What is your plan for signage? And I hope it's not going to be like a Cracker Barrel sign.
It is not. There's an existing, I can just pull it up here actually.
The one you showed, that's
Yep,
it?
That's it.
Okay.
So you'll see the third panel down is what ours will look like when it's on that. That's it. And
Okay,
then
and
building signage as well.
I may have additional questions I'll ask later, but I'm concerned about something else that was brought up, but not with your business. I haven't heard any bad news, so that's a good sign. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Council Oram. Council Preciado.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. Have you guys scouted, I have a couple of questions. Have you guys scouted any other locations, and have there been any, potential locations that you could go in if this fails? And also, what makes you, if you do get into this spot, what makes you think you could be competitive with the other locations that are either there or will be there? Because there are, like everyone has mentioned, there are going to be two other ones there, or there's one right now. I'm just curious, considering the traffic issues over here, how impactful it will be moving over there with the other businesses.
Sure, so I can start. We've looked at a few other locations, but this has always been high on our list. We have looked at other communities as well, but we are hoping to stay in Marlborough, where we have an existing customer and patient base. And I think that's one reason we'll be successful there is we already have our built-in customer and patient base, but we're now going to be a much more convenient location for anyone on the west side of the city who has been daunted coming over to our shop. They won't have to do that. And I think the easy 495 access is going to be very crucial to that site being successful.
Thank you, Councilor Preciado. Councilor Vital.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. Very simple question. What percentage of your clientele is medical?
20%.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Vital. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. A couple of things. First is, you're taking over the entire building then?
Correct.
Okay. And also, the other dispensary that is near you is about a mile away?
Yeah, roughly a mile away.
Yeah. So I've been living with the Route 20 construction for the last year or so, so my sympathy with that overall. But I think the situation that you're looking at, if this opens up, which seems to be fair, it is isolated from the back, from behind, as well as 495. So, whatever, I'm not sure how westbound traffic would get there at this point, but as far as eastbound traffic, it seems to be very straightforward. So, I'm open to see what you guys have as far as the move goes, and I think Councilor Oram brought up an interesting point, just have another travel supervision for a while.
Sure.
Thank you.
I can just, in terms of access, so westbound traffic can either get in directly off of Route 20 heading west, or it can go in through Landry Drive, because that's two-way. And then anyone coming eastbound, there's a light right at Landry. You turn left on that light, and you come right around, and you're in that back entrance there.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette. Any other comments from the councilors that haven't spoken yet? Councilor Preciado.
Yeah, one more question. If you guys do get this location, what kind of actions would you take to help calm the concerns of the citizens that are around there, the neighborhood around there? How would you be proactive in keeping a positive image for the shop?
Sure. I mean, I'll let Jeff address it as well, but I mean, we'll be open book, talk to any of our existing neighbors, and you think it's only retail there. There are a lot of residents right behind that plaza and right next door, and we have not had complaints. We haven't had complaints from our co-tenants. In fact, you heard from one of them tonight who spoke highly of us. So we're an excellent neighbor. We're just as concerned as anyone if there's an operator in the city that's not maintaining high standards, because it reflects on us and our industry. But that's not us. We're a very different operation. We have an existing clientele, and we're looking to expand that. And I think you'll see an excellent operation at that location. But we're open book and open door. Folks are always able to reach out to us at any time if they have concerns.
Thank you, Councilor Preciado. Any other questions from the councilors? Questions from the councilors? Questions from the councilors? Hearing none, I close that portion of the public hearing and the entire public hearing, and this item is in Urban Affairs. Thank you for your participation tonight.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 4.
Communication from the mayor regarding an OPEB trust update.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to accept and place on file the communication, please.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept and place on file the OPEB communication. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The communication is filed, 10-0. Agenda item number 5.
Communication from the mayor regarding gift acceptance in the amount of $5,000 from the Cummings Foundation awarded to the Recreation Department to be used for families who require financial assistance for recreational programs.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to accept. Motion to approve the gift, please.
Motion made and seconded to approve the gift. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Gifts approved, 10-0. Agenda item number 6.
Communication from the mayor regarding grant acceptance in the amount of $14,919 from the Department of Justice awarded to the Police Department to be used for new traffic cameras and financing the software.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to approve the grant, please.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the grant. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The grant is approved, 10-0. Agenda item number 7.
Communication from the mayor regarding notification of extension of temporary appointment pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 61A of Theodore L. Scott as interim commissioner of the Department of Public Works for an additional 60-day term effective December 16, 2024.
Councilor Navin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to accept and place on file.
Motion's made and seconded to accept and place on file the communication. Any discussion on the motion? Councilor Orem.
I stand in favor, so in case Ted's watching, I don't even know if he's in here, but I've been very, very happy with his performance as our DPW commissioner. He's responsive. Talk about communication. You ask a question, you get a response immediately. That's the way it's worked with me, and I'm sure all the ward councilors appreciate that, because I know I was always on the phone with DPW back in those days. But I just want to speak highly of how good he is about communicating. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Orem. On the motion to accept and place on file the communication, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Communication is filed, 10-0. Agenda item number 8.
Communication from the mayor regarding notification of mayoral reappointments to the Cultural Council pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 10, Section 58 of Mary Watson Avery and Marcia Waldman.
Councilor Navin.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have several reappointments that have come down from the mayor tonight, so we'll try and do these as quickly as possible. Some of these, actually they all, are reappointments So a few of them I will be motioning if there is no objection from any of the other councilors that we approve here tonight. So starting with the appointments of Mary Watson and Marcia Waldman, I move to approve.
This one we can just accept, place on file, because the mayor has...
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, that's all right. The mayor has the appointing authority. We don't have any jurisdiction on this one, so just...
Well then, I would like to motion to accept and place on file the communication.
Motion made and second to accept and place on file the communication. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The cultural communication reappointments are filed 10-0. Agenda item number 9.
Communication from the mayor regarding the reappointment of Barbara Pellegrini Allen to the Commission on Disabilities for a 3-year term to expire on December 7th, 2026.
Councilor Naven.
Thank you, Mr. President. There'll be a little gun shy in this one, I think. However, motion to approve the appointment of Barbara Pellegrini Allen and thank Barbara for her willingness to serve another term on the Disabilities Commission.
Motion made and seconded to approve the reappointment. Any discussion on the motion? Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm also on the Commission of Disabilities, and I've known Barbara Allen before that. She is an excellent asset to the Disabilities Commission, and her last name is spelled Allen with an E. If anyone's questioning that, they came up as one of the running jokes, but thank you very much.
On the motion to approve the reappointment, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The reappointment is approved 10-0. Agenda item number 10.
Communication from the mayor regarding reappointments of Ralph Lofton, Thomas Golden, Robert Levine, and Thomas Pope to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 5-year term to expire on the following dates. Ralph Lofton, February 24th, 2027. Thomas Golden, February 24th, 2027. Robert Levine, February 24th, 2028. And Thomas Pope, September 12th, 2026.
Councilor Naven.
Thank you, Mr. President. This one I am going to move to refer to the Personnel Committee. Sometimes it's often helpful for people to hear what these different boards and commissions do, and the ZBA is a very important one. And seeing as all of these terms expired several years ago, I don't think we are in any danger of stopping city business. So move to refer to personnel.
Motion's made and seconded to refer to the Personnel Committee. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's going to Personnel 10-0. Agenda item number 11.
Communication from the mayor regarding the reappointment of Gregory Matrakis to the License Board for a 6-year term to expire on June 1st, 2030.
Councilor Naven.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve the reappointment. Thank you.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the reappointment. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The reappointment is approved 10-0. Agenda item number 12.
Communication from the mayor regarding the reappointment of Jonathan Steinberg to the Board of Assessors for a 3-year term effective from the date of City Council confirmation.
Councilor Naven.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not to say the Board of Assessors isn't very important, but since we just had Mr. Steinberg here last meeting to set the tax rate, I don't think we need to haul him back here, so move to approve the reappointment.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the reappointment. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The reappointment is approved 10-0. Agenda item number 13.
Communication from Raimundo Neto, owner of 36 Jefferson Street, regarding proposed zoning map amendment to rezone 36 Jefferson Street, identified as map 56, parcel 136, from Residence B to Neighborhood Business District.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm moved to refer this to Urban Affairs. The Planning Board set a public hearing for January 27th, 2025, and to advertise the public hearing.
Motion's made and seconded to refer this item to Urban Affairs.
25?
Planning Board, right?
Say the wrong date?
No, January 27th, 2025. That's the, yep. Everybody got hung up on the 25 part.
Okay.
That's all new. So, motion's made and seconded to send to Urban Affairs. The Planning Board set a public hearing for January 27th and to advertise, and that's January 27th, 2025. Any discussion on the motion? Councilor Doucette. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? This is going to Urban, the Planning Board, with a public hearing on January 27, 2025, and advertised. The vote is 10-0. Agenda item number 14.
Petition of Mass Electric and Verizon New England to install one joint-owned pole on Farm Road, beginning at a point approximately 50 feet southwest of the center line of the intersection of El Dorado Drive, installing new pole 85-5.
Councilor Ficillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to set a date for public hearing and to advertise the public hearing.
Motion's made and seconded to set a public hearing, and that'll be for January 6, 2025, and we will advertise.
Mr. President?
Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I need to recuse myself from this one since I'm in a butter.
Really?
Yeah, I own one of the units.
Say no more?
Yep.
She should have yelled at me in the beginning. We'll let the record reflect that Councilor Doucette will not be participating in this particular item. On the motion to to set a public hearing for January 6, 2025, and to advertise. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It carries 9 in favor, 1 abstained, 1 absent. Agenda item 15.
Communication from Central Mass Mosquito Control Project regarding notice of the 2025 Commission meeting dates.
Councilor Oram, what can you tell us?
What a way to end the year. The mosquito guy. It's just a notification of next year's meetings in 2025, and hopefully we won't run into any serious issues. If we do, we'll be talking about it in the summer. But I would ask that it be accepted and placed on file, and the clerk keep it active on his site as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Motion's made and seconded to accept and place on file the communication. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is filed by a vote of 10-0. Agenda item 16.
Minutes of boards, commissions, and committees.
Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Motion to accept and place on file the minutes of the boards, commissions, and committees.
Motion's made and seconded to accept and place on file the minutes. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The minutes are filed 11-0. 10-0. Item 17.
Claims.
Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to send the claims to legal department, please.
Motion made and seconded to send the claims to the legal department. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? It's going to legal. 10-0. Reports of committee. Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 2 suspensions to request. The first one is for a communication from William Camuso.
Motion's been made and seconded for a suspension of the rules. All those in favor of the suspension? Opposed? Suspension carries 10-0.
In 2022, we had approved a 1-year license to operate his gasoline station. And then on December 19th, 2022, we extended it for a year. And December 18th, 2023, we did a further extension. So to keep him in business, we need to do another 1-year extension of the gas station. So I'm going to move to approve a 1-year extension from today's date through the year. And hopefully we'll all have our act together in 2025 to get this here well before it expires.
Motion made and seconded to approve the extension. And this is for the extensions for the hours of operation, right? So that he's getting a little leeway on the beginning and end for operations. So on the motion to approve the 1-year extension for the hours of operation for the gas station, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The extension for 1 year is approved and the vote is 10-0. Councilor Roby.
Thank you. The other suspension is a request from me as the City Council's member on the Richard School Building Committee to do a brief report.
There's been a request for a suspension to update us on the Richard School progress. All those in favor of the suspension? Opposed? Suspension carries 10-0. Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. So in July of this year, the Building Committee did approve a selection subcommittee who prepared a request for service for the owner's project manager, known as OMP. The RFS was advertised. There were 28 responses, and 10 ultimately sent in all of their information. The committee chose a business called Vertex, which, from the information we were provided, has numerous projects that they have completed within the state of Massachusetts and is well known by the School Building Assistance Authority. We also then had discussion with the OMP and the SBA on the next step for this project, the designer RFS. That will be placed on December 18th, with the selection of the designer to take place in February of 2025. I will note that SBA is really who selects the designer. There will be a subgroup again of the committee who will try to give input, but they'll do what they want to do. The designer will then be part of the next phase of this, the feasibility study, and they have two options that they're going to be looking at. The first is a 950 student project on the current site using a new site or an addition or a renovation to the existing building, keeping students K-5 in the building. The second choice is a 870 student school for K-5, again with the district funding and expansion at Kane School to handle the anticipated new student load. The estimated cost that's out there is anywhere from $35 million to $150 million. I will again point out that if work is done at Kane School, because they choose option 2, that is at the city's expense. There will be absolutely no help from the SBA to fund that. So that's something we'll all need to think about. Working with the SBA means we benefit from funding to help the city, but it also means the process can be slow. That means 2025 will be spent creating the preferred schematic program, and an anticipated vote of the council for funding will not be coming to us until September of 2026, or whoever is sitting on the council at that date in time. Vertex has suggested community meetings. If those are set up, I will keep you in the loop and let you know the result of the designer selection when we make that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Ruby. Any other reports of committees? Hearing none. Councilor Naven.
Move to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned at 8:51. Thank you, everyone.